Okay, so going through and finishing wiring up the Holley, some of the inputs and outputs. So today I'm working on the coolant pressure sensor. So I'll show you how I wired that, and then I want to go through how I'm going to set it up in the computer and make sure everything works. So I'm using a low dollar Motorsports 0 to 100 pressure sensor, and then I had a different plug laying around, so I didn't use the low dollar one just so I could wire it up quicker. Basically what I did was I took the 5-volt reference and ground, snagged that out of the fuel pressure plug, and then I'm running the input 2 on the Terminator X to the computer. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn it on and verify that my fuel pressure and everything is still normal. It shouldn't bother it stealing the power and ground off of the other sensor. So I'm going to verify that that still works, and then we'll go through and set up the input on the computer. Alright, so I'm just going to watch fuel pressure there down in the center and start it. It should be around 58, 59 psi. So that is perfect. Now we'll go through and we'll set up the coolant sensor. Alright, so first thing you're going to want to do is go into your file. So open that bad boy up. And here's your tune. So you go into I/O up here, inputs, outputs. Your inputs will show up. And I'm going to add coolant pressure. We'll go to enable. It's going to be a 5-volt sensor. We'll configure, and I'm going to do a custom pressure, PSI. We'll leave the sensor minimum, display minimum at 0. We'll do caution minimum and normal minimum at 10. You can kind of set some of this stuff up however you want it. The sensor is going to be a 100 PSI sensor, so we'll leave that at 100. Caution maximum, that'll be, we can just put it at 50. So down here is going to be the scaling for the sensor. So you have 0 to 100 for a 100 PSI sensor. I'm just going to highlight, right click, fill row values, and it's going to be a 0.5 volt to a 4.5 volt sensor. And we'll do the same thing. Highlight, fill rows. So next thing you have to do is you actually have to pin the output. So you go up to pin map, and you have unassigned inputs right here. Inputs, sorry about that. You grab coolant pressure, drag it down, and done. Now you can save it and then write it to the ECU. So I already did this. So I'm going to open up the data log to show you guys what I did. So it was basically a cold start from 0 to about 192 degrees coolant temp. And I'll show you what happened with the sensor. So here's the data log, and you can see this big guy right here coming up. That is going to be the coolant pressure. You can see it right down here. So to add coolant pressure, let's find a thing that doesn't have coolant pressure on it. So this one I already did set up. So let's just say idle cold start doesn't have coolant pressure on it. So what we can do is go to edit views, and yeah, let's say nitrous. Let's move it down there. So what we can do is we can scroll all the way over, and here's your inputs and outputs. So you can drag this thing down and put it on whatever channel you want it to be on, and it just puts it in there. So save it. Now we can click over to nitrous, and then you got coolant pressure. So you can set it up kind of wherever you want. So there you go. Sensor's in, and it works.